Random House Audio presents A Year in the World, Journeys of a Passionate Traveler by Frances Mays. This is the author, Frances Mays. Preface: The Cupolas of Alghero. The silhouette of Alghero rises from the Mediterranean. My husband Ed and I are walking toward town just after noon, when sunlight slips straight through the clean water, rippling the white bottom of the sea with ribbons of light. Limpida, he says, chiara, limpid, clear, the slow tide pushing the light in bright arcs across the sandy floor. Alghero, nominally an Italian town on the western edge of Sardinia, has colorful geometric tiled cupolas, Catalan street names, Arabic flourishes in the cuisine. I feel a sudden attraction to Spain, to exotic Moorish courtyards, fountains that soothe those desert invaders, to the memory of a Latin man who once whispered to me, "Please, share my darkness in Barcelona." A desire for some fierce, unnameable, dour, and dignified essence of Spain. I imagine walking there, along a whitewashed wall, peeling an orange, a book of Lorca's poems in my pocket. "I'd like to taste the last drop," I say, a non sequitur. Ed is not bothered by non sequiturs. He just picks up on the word taste. We're going to a trattoria where they specialize in lobster with tomatoes and onions. Sounds delicious. Aragosta al algerese, lobster from these waters, cooked in the style of Alghero. He consults a piece of paper where he has written an address. "And yes, I know what you mean. What if we didn't go home, I wonder aloud? What if we just kept traveling? The European writers always had their Wanderjahr, their year of wandering in their youth. I'd like one of those, even at this late date. Probably better now than when you were young. Where do you want to go? How far are we from Spain?" I must mention that I have a job. He points to a hump of land. "Neptune's Grotto, we'll take a boat out there after lunch." "I would like to go to Morocco," he adds. Greece was the first foreign place I ever wanted to see, and I've never been. A map of the world unscrolls in my mind, the one I looked at when I was 10 in a small town in Georgia. Bright flags line the sides of the map, and the countries are saffron, lavender, rose, and mint, according to their altitude and geology. Sweden, Poland, the Basque Country, India. Then I shift into an explosion of images. I'm threading my way through the spice bazaar in Istanbul, assaulted by hot scents rising from sacks of fenugreek, turmeric, gnarly roots, and dried seeds. We're leaning on the railing of a slow boat when a crocodile splats its tail in the murky green waters of the Nile. I'm driving past a marsh, russet in autumn light, and I recognize the barrier island off the coast of Georgia, one of the Golden Isles, where I spent summer vacations as a child. That archipelago was the first place I ever longed for. During the rainy winter months of my childhood, sometimes mercurial sensations of the island came to me in a rush. Humid, salty air catches in my hair. The saw palmettos clatter in the torrid breezes of August, and I see sunrises on the beach. At 6, that sensation was a tide, a rhythm, a hurt, a joy. This powerful first sensation of a place I have come to know well because I've kept it all my life, just as I've kept square thumbnails and insomnia. One of my favorite writers, Freya Stark, acknowledged a similar feeling in The Valley of the Assassins. It shone clearly, distinct in the evening light, an impressive sight to the pilgrim. I contemplated it with the feelings due to an object that still has the power to make one travel so far. Her it being anything that pulls us hard enough so that we take the passport from the drawer, pack the minimum, and head out the door with an instinct as sure as that of an ancient huntress with quiver and bow. The urge to travel feels magnetic. Two of my favorite words are linked: departure, time. And travel wets the emotions, turns upside down the memory bank, and the golden coins scatter. How my mother would have loved the mansard apartment we borrowed from a friend in Paris. Will I be lucky enough to show pieces of the great world to my grandchild? I'm longing to hold his hand when he first steps into a gondola. I've seen his freedom burst upon him on his first hikes in California. Arms out, he runs forward. I recognize the surge. Sardinia, the real name Sardinia. I have wanted to come here since I read D.H. Lawrence's Sea and Sardinia years ago in a blank hotel room in Zurich. It is a small, stony, hen-scratched place of poor people, I read, and in we rolled into Orosei, a dilapidated, sun-smitten, God-forsaken little town not far from the sea. We descend to the piazza. We descend to the piazza. Yes, that's the sentence I liked. I underlined sun-smitten in my paperback book, and as I fell asleep, the noise of Zurich traffic below became these waves I see right now, lapping the seawall. We have a few days. I will look at all the Moorish tiles, sample the hard pecorino and goat cheeses, climb around in the prehistoric village. Travel pushes my boundaries, seemingly self-indulgent. Travel, paradoxically, obliterates me, because very quickly, prestissimo, the own little self is unlocked from the present and released to move through layers of time. It is not 2006 all over the world. So, who are you in a place where 1950 or 1920 is about to arrive? Or where the guide says, we're not talking about AD today, everything from now on is BC. You are released also because you are insignificant to the life of the new place. When you travel, you become invisible if you want. I do want. I like to be the observer. What makes these people who they are? Could I feel at home here? No one expects you to have the stack of papers back by Tuesday, or to check messages, or to fertilize the geraniums. When traveling, you have the delectable possibility of not understanding a word of what is said to you. Even better, if you speak the language, you catch nuances and make more contact with people. Travel releases spontaneity. You become a godlike creature full of choice, free to visit the stately pleasure domes, make love in the morning, sketch a bell tower, read a history of Byzantium. You open, as in childhood, and for a time, receive this world. There's the visceral aspect, too, the huntress who is free to go, free to return home bringing memories to lay on the hearth. A year after those, yes, sun-smitten days in Sardinia, we are going off to Spain. Then we have a list of places in the world we would like to call home, at least for a while. At 20, it's easy to sling on the backpack and take off. Later, you may find the responsibilities that the years layer onto our bodies and souls to be hard to impossible to escape. You have to wrench your circumstances to get out from under them. And my home lulls me. The yellow roses on the table, creamy ironed sheets with my mother's monogram, rabbit with fennel baking in the oven, guests about to arrive, my cat's sister purring against my foot, a sunroom full of books. These profound comforts, the joys of home. The thrown-off remark, I want to taste the last drop, will go down in my column of the book kept by the heavenly scribe. How did one sentence send me off into an intense 5 years of boarding planes, buses, trains, ships? The dream of a travel year became compromised by a complicated life.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?